was too good.
It must be too good. But so, when I started this, it was basically just okay, that's recording too. Just basically I didn't know how long this would last. I thought it would be 3 episodes, 4 episodes, whatever you're done, whatever. So I didn't really care about the setup, the background, just because I was new to it. I didn't know if I'd like it. It was really scary for me too, doing something like this, because I've never done anything in my life, right?
Yeah.
And so, but now, how long have I been going? A year now. So I keep looking up stuff. And I was like, I need to change my background now. Maybe I add a little spice to it. Like I like the dark and moody looks.
Yeah.
So anyway, thanks for being here though, by the way, and taking time to talk to me.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So why don't you give everyone a little blurb about yourself so we know what's going on here?
These questions are always the best kind of questions.
Yeah, I always hate to
I was still on the spot.
So somebody called me out one time for not introducing people.
Oh.
And I don't like doing it because it doesn't feel authentic to me that
right.
Like it just feels I want it to be like, we're just talking. Like I would not get up in front of a restaurant, just, hey, everybody, here's Janet,
Right. Yeah. You're like, yeah, she's from California, born and raised. Well, I'm Janet from California, born and raised. I'm the founder of Gymparty. It's a fun virtual wellness program that helps everyday people find joy in fitness and nutrition. I'm a self-proclaimed fun expert, first generation to immigrant parents, purple belt in Jiu Jitsu,
nice.
Disney enthusiast.
Nice.
So we're going to talk about all the things today and have a great time.
Right. So you grew up in San Jose, correct? That what you said?
Right. Yeah. Born and raised. I went to school in San Diego and then spent like 10 years living in LA and then moved back to San Jose. So I've just been like up and down California.
Did you not like LA or?
No, I loved LA. But at the time, my now husband, then boyfriend, was living in San Jose. We went to the same high school together and then we reconnected. So we were doing long distance for a bit. And it was like, I was kind of at a time in my life too, where I wasn't really happy with my job and I was like CrossFitting a lot too. So like I came back up here and I was like, oh, I guess I can like do something with CrossFit up here. So then I started working out NorCal CrossFit at that time. Right now it's real big as NC Fit, but so I started at Valley CrossFit down south. And if you're a CrossFit OG, then you understand how long I've been in CrossFit industry. Like Valley CrossFit was where like Becca Voigt, Kristen Clever, Lindsay Valenzuela, Katie Hogan, like they all went down there. So my experience with CrossFit was amazing, like these amazing, strong, elite women. And then I moved up north and then it was like this whole dichotomy of like, at NorCal was like Jason Khalipa and Neil Maddox. And so it was like this whole like bro type of feel. So it was like, I had like all of the best of both worlds there. So that's when I like stayed up in NorCal and then my husband and I got married. And so I'm here now.
Were you getting to work out with those Titans like Maddox and Khalipa and all that? Or
at first, Neil Maddox is kind of in and out. He wasn't part of NorCal, but he was like in the area, so they would work out together. We used to do these things like the coaching staff. We'd all work out together at 2:00. Nice. And in one place. And it was like probably the most fun fitness time of my life. Like when we were all kind of there and they were competitive, but some of the other coaches were not as competitive. We're just kind of there for the experience and getting fit and stuff like that. But man, those are intense times. Like I remember having to like score someone for the open, like be their judge. And I was just like, just so nervous because you're just like, don't mess up.
Yeah, so I've done my fair judging for the Open, and then plus, I do little competitions here and there, some local ones, and then sometimes score or judging, and so it's always like, oh God, how many were they on? Like trying to keep track.
I know, like double unders are the worst. You're like, what?
Oh yeah, please don't fuck this up.
You're just like, my head's just like bobbing with the.
Well, that's like one of the biggest fears. A lot of people like they don't want to judge or volunteer just because of that. They're like, I don't want to screw up anybody's score.
Yeah,
I get it.
Do you remember the judge for Camille? During the CrossFit Games, I don't know if not recently. It was like years ago, but like, yeah, that judge like no repped her, And then like when you rewatch it, you're like, oh man, why did she get a no rep? But like, like as a judge, like in the moment, I totally understand. But then man, that judge got a lot of flack for that. And it's like, I never want to be in that position. Not at a high level.
Do you know who Ron Fisher is?
No, I don't.
He owns CrossFit Chalk.
Ryan Fisher?
No, what I say?
You said Rob Fisher?
I don't know. Yeah, Ron Fisher.
Yeah.
That's anyway.
Or maybe I just heard Rob and I was like, oh.
Maybe I did say that Fisher guy. All right. So yeah, he had a meltdown on one of his judges in one of the games, and he basically told him he was going to kill his whole family and everything.
Oh no.
The judges, he's like an MMA fighter and stuff. And it's like, Ryan, what are you doing?
Oh yeah. Something McDonald, right?
There
like
you
the
go.
tall. Yeah. Yeah, I think I remember that.
Castro got
that was
you can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I even followed his program for a while there for a couple of years.
Dude, you're like, oh, I gotta buy that guy's program. He's a loose cannon. I
mean, he knows what he's talking about. I guess he's just a little competitive.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But it's good.
Sure.
Yeah, I've never had a meltdown as far as like I've done those small competitions, but I'm usually just like whatever.
Yeah.
Deal.
Right. I've never been good enough to afford a meltdown. Like I've never been like, worthy of having a meltdown.
Well, have you done a CrossFit competition or anything?
Yeah, like way back when it was like before even regionals, it was like sanctionals. Like it was like I've seriously been around a really long time. But yeah, we, because it was like all of down at Valley CrossFit, all of the women were like elite. So they were like all gonna go individual. And then so like there was like the first tier of women and then like the B team, which is like the leftover. It's like, I guess you can do team.
Yeah.
Cool. And then it was kind of the same way at NorCal. Like I would compete in team, but I never did anything individual. Like I was never good enough for individual. But
good to be on team though.
Okay. Yeah, but again, back then it wasn't like it is now. Like you can still like this is just my hobby. But right now, like even the teams are like crazy elite. Like
that's true.
there's no way I can. Back then it was different. Like you could have a job and you can, do this.
Yeah. When I started in 12 or 13. And I remember if you actually snatched 225, that was really, really good. Like as far as starting out, but now it's, if you're not even over 275,
I know it's crazy.
Sit on a bench, bro. Like you can't even snatch.
I know. I remember one of the, I think it was like 2011 regionals or something like that. Like there were snatches and it was a ladder and like the first weight was 95 and then it was like 105 and I was just like, oh God, like if I could just get 105 over my head, I would be happy. But like, can you imagine now? Like that's somebody's warm-up weight.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like I'm repping this up for like 20 rep max, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's go back a bit. So how did you get into the CrossFit game back then?
Like I said, I was like the B squad. Whatever. Left over.
CrossFit back then, like you just walked into a gym one day.
Oh, how did I find CrossFit? Yeah. So like, one of my friends, like I was doing like, I would just run on the beach or like, again, I was living in LA and I would do these like boot camps that like random classes that people ran on the beach. And then my friend thought that I would like this like type of class. So he just called me up. He emailed me. He was like, I think you'd really like this. And send me a link to Valley Cross or just CrossFit. And then I just like Googled the nearest CrossFit class.
Right.
And that's how I fell into it. It wasn't even some magical story. And I don't even think I stuck with it right away, but I did like maybe 2 classes, but I remember loving it a lot. But then I couldn't afford it or something because it was like expensive. And then remembering like, and I would go back to like those boot camps and those runs. And I was like, oh, it's just not the same. It's not the same kind of workout,
Yeah.
So then I went back and I've really not turned back since. But I mean, now I do kind of a different version of it because once you do it so long, like then you kind of have to adapt to where you're at in life. And that I think right now I'm just kind of like an at-home CrossFitter, which is perfect for me right now. And that's kind of my program as well. It's like the foundation is very much CrossFit. But like for people who live at home. So whatever you have at your house, we kind of work with that. Yeah. But the intensity's there and the camaraderie's there, the community's there. So I think our program is kind of the best of CrossFit in a virtual sense.
Yeah, I like that. Like you're just picking up, if you can't find something, pick up like laundry detergent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Cat litter.
that's
all
one
that
thing
stuff.
is like a pet peeve of mine. People are like, I don't have time to get to the gym, or I don't have time to do
Yeah.
some type of workout. It's like, well, if you can do it at the house, I mean, you don't really have much
Yeah.
excuse. Maybe take that 30 minutes from watching that Netflix show and go,
Yeah.
do some squats in
Exactly.
the chair or whatever. So that's kind of
Yeah.
especially during the pandemic, I'm sure too, when all the gyms closed
hmm
down, especially in
Yeah. I think like it's hard to change your mind when you like had the certain intensity and this certain demand on your body when you go into a class with a coach and stuff. And so people think they have to be in that setting in order to get that, but really, if you're self accountable, you can definitely do it. You can just do burpees in the middle of your kitchen, do it as fast as you can. You'll definitely get a workout.
yeah.
You know.
I think that's what a big problem is. There's a lot of not a people, or generally speaking, not a lot of people who are self accountable anymore.
Right. Yeah.
They just don't know how to get around that, just because
Yeah.
there's like always a million reasons to say no or find excuses to do anything.
Yeah.
Then they complain later on, like, oh, I wish I, was two sizes down or whatever. But it's like, well,
Yeah.
you, bro. I mean,
Yeah.
you got 20 minutes. Sit there and let's like you
Yeah.
do 10 minutes of burpees or whatever.
Yeah. So for those non-accountable people, go ahead and sign up to Gymparty. I'll be accountable.
Yeah. Wait. So have you been pretty active in fitness your whole life?
Not my whole life. Like I was an accountant before I was a CrossFit coach.
Right.
Yeah. And so that was kind of that, like, that point in my life where I was like, like I'm not happy doing what I'm doing, but I've been like this CrossFit, this hobby I've been doing a lot. I was kind of coaching classes like two times a week. The gym I was at, they paid for my certification. And so I was really enjoying it. And like when I moved back home, I wasn't really sure of that even was the direction I was going to go. But then it just kind of snowballed from there. Like things just opportunities just kept happening for me. So I was like, okay, I guess this is a good path. And then eventually to now where I get to kind of create my own thing.
So you're your own boss right now, doing your own
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love stories like that, because somebody who had the typical 9 to 5 and decided that this is
Yeah.
not for me anymore, that I want to start doing my own thing and living the way I want to in life.
Yeah.
Like,
And I actually have like that really speaks to you. Do you also have something that you started?
No, well, besides this, but I mean, I
This
still have
podcast?
yeah, but I still have my
Yeah.
9 to 5 and stuff. Like I said, I haven't, got the cojones yet to actually do what you did and say, screw everything. I'm going to take a leap of faith here. And
Yeah, no, but you're doing it. And like, I feel like everyone's going to do it in their own way, right? Like the way I kind of did it was both times. So like I have like two kind of cojones stories, I guess you call it. Like, the first one is like when I left NC Fit to start my own thing. And that was me like taking a chance because again, like I wanted to do things my way. And, I thought there was an opportunity there, but I didn't know that at first. Like I just kind of left, not really have anything in line, And so, after I left, I was like, okay, well, I'll just do it myself. Like, and that is really, really scary. And then 2 years into that, where I was kind of doing things on my own and like create, like my whole thing was corporate wellness. So I left NCFIT so I can do corporate wellness and do wellness programs at companies. And so 2 years into that, I had some pretty good clients lined up because I'm in Silicon Valley in San Jose, and it's like a lot of companies here. So that opportunities for that is kind of, it's nice, I can go to companies and do classes. And I had some clients lined up, and then the pandemic hit and they're like, well, sorry, no one's on site anymore. Like, so it's like, so that was like the ending of my first cojones story. And then, so my second one was like, okay, well, because I never thought I would do a virtual program. Like I thought virtual programs were like P90X, like it was very one-sided. And I wasn't a fan of Peloton because again, like very one-sided, one person running the thing and you're following, but there's really no accountability. And there's just a kind of, I personally don't think Peloton would have done that well if it wasn't for the pandemic. But now they're not doing so well anymore. So that kind of proves my theory, So yeah. So like in my mind, virtual was just kind of this one-sided, non-coachy thing. And so I told myself, now that I'm forced to do kind of virtual thing because of the pandemic, I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. And what I wanted was that perfect, like kind of CrossFit community, but in a virtual setting. So like you still get the coaching, you still get the camaraderie, you still get the community. It's still, even though it's a group class, it still feels very personalized to you. The CrossFit style workouts, they inherently improve your fitness. So it's like there's no secret to that. Like if you write a good CrossFit workout, your fitness is going to be improved. So and then I also wanted like a wide range of demographics. So I wanted diversity. I wanted all kinds of ages. I want all kinds of colors. I want all kinds of sizes. So I just made a point to kind of hire staff that was that way. So I'm in it now, and it's still scary, but you're right. Like, there are days that are very difficult, but when you have a really strong community, it's also very rewarding.
Yeah, that's what I like to tell folks about CrossFit is that we have a good community at my box, and that,
That's great.
I throw down with some police officers and stuff. And, I'm not a
Mm-hmm.
police officer or anything, but it's kind of like, hey, if I can put myself through hell on this workout right there beside them, that I kind of feel like, all right, I'm kind of doing my thing with them and building that camaraderie.
Yeah.
But I'm not completely different. Obviously, they're laying their lives out on the line.
Right.
But still, it's kind of like, well, if they're doing that, I can make my heart rate go up and sweat and feel like I'm for a couple.
But you're probably helping them too. There's, even though like competition isn't everything, and like it's, like CrossFit Games competition is different, I think, in the true box community competition. Like that competition inside the box is more like, I'm gonna be at my best so that this person can be at their best. I'm gonna keep trying my best so that this next person next to me can also try their best. So it's not really about beating people. It's more about like, I got to bring my A game so that that person can improve, and that's what creates a really good community. Like no one really cares about your score, but they just care about your effort.
Yeah, no, I agree 100% with you. And I mean, it's almost like a double-edged sword, because the ego and the camaraderie and, the competition, you're wanting to beat the person beside you. But also, I think that's where CrossFit almost gets the bad name from it, where that ego and stuff will take over, and you're trying to, deadlift 315 21 times. And then all of a sudden, back goes out, and they blame it on CrossFit. And it's like, well, maybe you shouldn't have been doing that when it was only your second week at CrossFit, bro.
Yeah. And that's why coaching is so important. That's why coaching is so important. And unfortunately, not all boxes and coaches are created equal. And that's okay. I mean, that's kind of how they mapped it out. CrossFit HQ, like that's just the business model, right? So there's just really no accountability. You really have to take the time to shop and find a good box. And I think that's for anything, not just CrossFit, but like anything, right? Like anything, any service that you use, you just have, you're responsible for taking that time to do your own homework.
We have new members come in sometimes, and we have 3 or 4 boxes in our area, and say, hey, let's try them all out. I mean, you don't have to pick one today, and just, you might get a coach that's having a bad day, and then you're like, oh, well, screw this guy, I ain't joining up here, but like the other one. So and you can take that to other places, just don't go buy the first thing you see at a store. Right. I like to shop and look at reviews on the internet. I go,
me too. I'm always like, what does that look like? How much is that on Amazon?
Exactly. I try to do my BD on it, my due diligence, but
yeah. And that's what the internet's for. Like that, if we have that why not use it?
You got a phone, you got a screen, just sit here and take a few minutes out of your
day. Exactly.
It's easy now.
Exactly.
I wanted to ask though, that when you quit, at NorCal, and you quit your other job, I mean, did that drive you though? Did you have extra motivation? Like you said, like you had nothing going on. Like, I got to make something. Yeah. This is the end game for me if I don't, right?
Yeah. I called it like my midlife crisis, but I was not even like close to midlife, but yeah, it was like kind of like a whole, like, who am I? Like, what do I want to do? Because there's like two things in those situations that you can look at. Like, yes, like what am I going to do? But also like the possibilities are endless. So like, what can I do? So it's like, there's just this 2 ways to look at it. And I kind of looked at it like, I can do anything I want, right? I'm not tied to anything. Right. I do need to make money. Like, so like I have to figure that out. So I would coach at a nearby box just to kind of make some money part-time while I kind of figured it out. But you kind of have to be strategic about it. Like I wouldn't I don't want your listeners to be like, I'm going to quit my job right
I'm motivated. One of
now.
the
Yeah, I know. I'm like guilty. I'm like really bad, like not bad or good, but my friends say that I can convince them to do like anything, especially when I'm drunk. Like they're just like, yeah, I'm gonna take over the world. So just disclaimer, please don't quit your jobs. Like be strategic about it if you're unhappy. There's always ways, like to me in my mind, it was like I can like, you can work at a Starbucks or something while you figure it out. Just know that it's temporary. It's not, that please make a plan. Like don't just stay there and be unhappy. But yeah, so I kind of looked at it like, oh well, I guess I can really do anything I want.
Yeah. Because, I'm relating to, well, not really, I'm trying to relate to a lot of this just because,
Mhm.
when I grew up, it was always like, hey, go to college, go to school, get your education, get that
Mhm.
stable job and, just make money. And then after 30 years, retire, then figure it out from there.
Right.
Right. Just,
Yeah.
and I don't know if it's pandemic or just, I don't know really what it was, but I started to try to train my brain differently and like learn like, yeah, well, maybe I don't have to, do it just because, that's the normal or the social norm way to live
Yeah.
life, and like maybe there's other things to do. And um,
Yeah.
yeah,
There
like,
is.
find your passion, I guess is what I'm saying. And then,
Yeah.
like, hey, I could probably make a little money at this, and not
Right.
saying that, do what, but you just said, don't everyone just quit their job all at once with no money.
Right. 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 Yeah. Be
But maybe
strategic about it.
maybe start it on the side, and then when it starts to
Yeah.
grow or something, I mean, there's a lot of million ways to do it, but
Yeah.
and then go after it. I feel
Yeah.
like, I guess, long story short, or to my point, what I'm trying to say is that because I part of me was that you get caught up into the, I guess, the rat race, and you start going down a road, and
Right.
you say like, I'm gonna stay at this job for X amount of years, or only live here for X amount of years, and then it turns
Mhm.
into 15 years, and
Mhm.
you don't really ask a lot of questions going down the road, and then you almost feel trapped,
Yeah. No,
Like,
absolutely.
say so. That's what it's.
Yeah, life is too short to kind of do what makes you unhappy, and I think if there's anything we learned from the pandemic is like life is really short and anything can be taken from you and you know literally in a drop of a dime or a week. Like when it happened everyone was like, oh, just a week, oh, another week, okay, we're going to close
Mhm.
down, and then 2 years later we're kind of still in it. So yeah, I mean, again, I'm not advised. I mean, or maybe do quit your job, and maybe that's the
That's
fire
what some
that,
people need.
like,
That's what some
yeah,
people
that's
need.
the
Yeah.
fire that lights your butt, and that's totally fine. It's better that you make the decision than like say you get fired and then you're kind of stuck to like make a decision, right? Or not fired, but let go, or for some reason or another.
Mhm.
But and that's the thing with working for somebody else is that that's always kind of a possibility, right? Like that's all. And then but also working from yourself for yourself, you're always thinking what could always fail too. So it's like, yeah, so you might as well just do what makes you happy if in the long run it might not work out anyway. So like, might as well
No,
just do
I
what
mean, that's part of learning and part of success, right? Not everything
yeah,
always works out, and if you fail, you learn from your mistakes and
right.
back up on a horse and try it again.
Yeah.
The country saying, I guess, whatever. But
Yeah.
talking about the pandemic, though, I mean, I like the virtual aspect that you're talking about, especially with the gym, just because I think there is a set amount of people out there who are still afraid to go to gyms and
Yeah.
stuff. And I get it. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that or should do it, but with what you're saying, you can conclude tons of people all in one space as long as you have a screen, which almost.
Yeah, as long as you have internet.
Yeah.
It's so fun. It's so, and again, like I wanted to make it really, really interactive and engaging and fun. And so we're also on this like messaging, all of the members are on this messaging platform. And so like even after class and before class, we're all kind of chatting online.
Mhm.
And that's really cool because we talk about non-fitness stuff, just everyday things. Like today was the big Will Smith, Chris Rock topic.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We can get your thoughts on that too here in a minute.
So we talk about everything, and I think that just makes everybody a lot closer. Like again, like you go into a box or your gym, and you don't always just talk about how much you're deadlifting. You're talking about like how your day was, and like getting the coaches are getting to know the people and how many kids they have and what they do for work and stuff like that. So what do you do for work, Chris? Or are you
Uh,
allowed to say?
yeah, I'm,
Or
I'm,
you're not?
I'm,
Okay.
I work in higher education. I'm a software IT guy, I guess you could say.
Oh my gosh, that's
I'm
crazy.
not like coding or anything like that. I just
Right,
kind of
right.
operate a certain software for all of campus to make sure it works, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that is a hard job to step away from because it seems very stable.
Yeah. So Well, kind of what we were also talking about, like, so I got my bachelor's in physical education and my master's in sports management. Thought I was going to go down that
Oh, so
road.
what are
Yeah.
you doing?
So my road doesn't really make a lot of sense, but, so I'm, like I said, I'm like kind of maybe a little bit above entry level kind of software guy,
Yeah, yeah.
coding or developing new software. I'm just,
Right, right.
but, yeah, it was just one of those things that I was like, what you were saying, that I just kind of didn't like the environment I was at and thought there was a different road I could go down. And so
Yeah.
I'm for jobs, and for some
That
reason,
makes sense.
give me
I
this.
mean, I don't have, I mean, aside from my certifications, like I didn't go to school for fitness or entrepreneurism or, business management or anything like that. Like I have a theater major, you know, and I worked at a theater, and that's when I was doing accounting, and like, um, yeah, like I just loved the theater, but and I guess that's another thing too. It's like, you never know where life is going to lead. And what you think life is going to be is always going to be different.
Mhm.
So it's okay if you change your path. Like it's okay if you kind of drop what you're doing and then do something that makes you happy. And that thing that makes you happy might not make you happy in 5 years. And that's okay to drop that thing and start something else. Like I feel like you're saying how like traditionally you do one thing and you're defined by that one thing. And then that's what you do for the rest of your life until you retire. And then you're like in Florida sipping on Mai Tais and like, like, and I don't know if and if that makes you happy, great. But I just felt like I was just so multifaceted and multidimensional that I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do all the things and enjoy, even if I'm not good at it, because right now this is making me happy and I'm going to commit to it. And then, if something else happens, like I have other things in my mind, in the future that I want to dabble in, and I might do that. And it's okay. Like I at least in my eyes, like it's okay to do that.
No, I agree. I mean, like, I think a lot of people don't want to take that step
Yeah. It's scary.
because it's scary, and like you just said, that most people will fail at something when they try it first, I guess. And,
Yeah.
like,
Oh
not
yeah.
unless you're an outlier, a freak of nature, like LeBron James,
Right.
want to be good at
Yeah.
whatever. But
Yeah.
I mean, but nobody wants to do that because nobody likes to fail and nobody wants to look
Hmm.
like a fool. But sometimes you have to do that trying to get to the next step, you know?
Right.
I've said some
Exactly.
stupid shit on this podcast, I'm sure, and I've messed up plenty of times. But
Yeah.
I I got a philosophy that if you keep showing up, keep doing the work, and keep
Yeah.
to get better, you will get better if you really want to. And
Yeah.
and it's kind of to what I was saying, that when I went down a different career, I guess, choice, was just because that when I was when did I graduate? '06. I don't remember when I graduated, but anyway, the internet and Facebook was starting to come about then, and right then
Yeah.
you still had to go to school to be successful now. But if you really want to learn something, you just get a YouTube education or talk to
Yeah.
yourself and learn exactly your path and what you did. And I think
Yeah.
mentorship is it's really powerful, and that you can
Hmm.
find a good mentor too, and that kind of help you along the way and tell you like what they did wrong and what they did right, maybe give you some sense of direction.
Hmm.
Powerful. And some people just don't do that, and that's one thing.
Yeah.
I probably had a couple that I didn't take seriously in college, just when I had internships and stuff, because I was more focused on
Hmm.
what are we doing Thursday night, where's the party, got beer pong at my house. So I had a different, I just wasn't thinking like that the way I should have been thinking, I guess. But
Hmm.
I'm a different person 10 years ago. I'm a different person.
Yeah.
I'm 10 years from now, I'll be a different person. So
Yeah. That's what they say. Youth is wasted on the young or something like that. Like that's so true. Like when you're young, you think you have the whole world figured out, but then by the time you like are 30 into your late 30s, like, oh wait, I think I really do have it figured out now. And I had it wrong the whole time. So if I can
yeah.
go back, but I feel like, yeah, like it's never too late. And I think that's like something that's so like going back to classes and stuff or fitness and stuff, it's like it's just really never too late. It's like when someone's trying to start their fitness journey and they're like, well, I'm old now and like it's just too late for me. It's like, no, like you can get
Mm.
fit and healthy anytime in your life. And I think that's just a good analogy of just life. Like it's never too late to start
Yeah.
living.
I get a lot of people who you're like, oh, you do CrossFit. And I'm like, yeah, no big deal. They're like, oh, you got to be in shape to do CrossFit. No,
Right.
it's not true. And I said, if you want to
Yeah,
get good at CrossFit, start doing it. Just
I know.
like, it's like, you don't just because I'm, might be doing upside down push-ups and muscle ups and
Right.
like that doesn't mean that you can't do it. I mean, like, you can scale,
Right.
you can do it at your house, So
Yeah.
that's what a lot of people get fearful of. I mean, so then they maybe try to do something like that because of ego, like I was saying earlier, then they get hurt. Hopefully not.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's just about kind of knowing yourself and your limits, but then kind of just dancing on that line
Mhm.
every little time, right? But not like,
When you're coaching, it's a good
mhm,
question. So, like, I get this in podcasts. So I've done a couple in-person ones and virtual ones, and it's like almost a
mhm,
different vibe, obviously, when you do them in person. I mean, do you
mhm.
feel that when you're doing the virtual coaching compared to, or do you feel like it's
100%. Like if I had the choice, I would not have a virtual, but I like kind of just again like adapting, working with what I have, and I'm a pretty good virtual coach. Just like I don't know if you can get through my energy. Like I'm like very animated. I think I'm using my theater degree, but like there's just so much energy that you have to put into the screen, and then you just have to have that same care in person, that you do on virtual. So like just really looking at each individual person, make sure they're moving right. And like, yeah, I would much rather be in person for those types of things. Um, but I'm trying to make the best of what I got. And so like you said, like, an in-person podcast is probably way better than a virtual podcast. Um, but yeah, just kind of make the best of what you got. Like it obviously opens up and broadens your
exactly?
like your guest list, right? When you say you can do a virtual, because otherwise you just stuck with people in Virginia.
Yeah, and I'm very, very rural town too. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Like,
Tony Stark. I'm doing a show down through here or something. So,
yeah.
but um, what was your game plan with a theater degree? I mean, was that something you
I just wanted to be around like the theater. Like I loved just being like in like I was like a theater geek, like huge theater geek. And I did like audition and try to be an actress for a bit. But then I just got a little too superficial for me. Like I just was really insecure and I felt like auditioning and like having people judge you just made me feel even worse about myself.
I would not go.
Yeah, totally.
I would not go talking to
100%. Oh yeah, that's like a whole nother topic for another
okay. Oh.
but yeah, absolutely. And so I like, but I still wanted to be part of theater. So I worked at a theater. I did like back end accounting and stuff. And it was a really popular theater in LA. It's called the Geffen Playhouse. And I worked there for 7 years. And it was again like one of those things where you're like blink of an eye and you're like, I've been here for 7 years. Like, so at that time it was just like, okay, again, I was like doing a lot of CrossFit. So I was like, I really love this thing right now. Maybe I can do something with it. And so that's kind of when I left the theater world.
I know you said this would be another topic, but do you think the CrossFit, the fitness stuff kind of got you out of your insecurities?
Uh yeah, I think so. Like it definitely empowered me
Sounds like
um to look at myself in a way where it was like be strong and don't worry about being skinny. But honestly, worrying about being like not skinny still is like a very real thing that I struggle with, like body image issues. And I don't know if that's like just our generation, how we grew up, and like also like my parents and my family, Asian people are not nice about the way you look and how much you weigh. Yeah. That and like maybe living in LA and a little bit more of a image focused area, I think maybe that didn't help either. And so, but then also within myself too, like not really knowing what true confidence was. And that's something I still struggle with, but not as much anymore. And it's something I try to teach the clients too. It's like, try not to worry about what's on the scale, try not to, like love your body, but also understand that like improvements within yourself there's like room for improvement, but don't define yourself by the way you look, you know? So like I'll, for instance, some people will come and be like, I want to lose 10 pounds and I want to like look this way or whatever, right? And to me, like that's fine. Like I feel like having aesthetics goals is not wrong. And I think for a long time at CrossFit, it was more like, who cares what you think? Just as long as you're strong, right? Like it's like, yeah, that's definitely true. But sometimes what you look like doesn't match with what you feel in your mind.
yeah.
So, and that might be different for everybody. Like it might, like, I think that's the issue is like, the beauty standard. There shouldn't be a standard. It's whatever you feel like will look good, will make you feel good, then that's kind of what you need to go for. But I always stress to those clients that don't define your value with what you look like. So I can help you get there, but just be careful in not valuing yourself or devaluing yourself if you don't look like that, right? Like that's not all about it. But if you want to feel good and that's going to help you feel good, then I'll help you. But, and it always has to be a realistic goal too. Like if I had someone that was like 90 pounds and coming to me and saying they want to lose 10 pounds, I'd be like, all right, maybe we get you a therapist before we like have you start this program. But
because, I've seen and, read stories on people who just, they're never skinny enough. They're never skinny enough. And there's some
right.
girl, and I can't remember her name, but she's pretty popular on there. And I think it's just because she's, so skinny, she's like literally skin and bones. And people in the comments just like literally just saying, hey, you should go get checked out.
Eat a cheeseburger. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's really bad even just to say that.
No, I know.
Yeah. But I mean, I usually try to go down that road. Hey, don't you?
Yeah.
But, but I feel so bad for him just because it's like, listen, I don't understand what the blockage is, and maybe because I've, never really had, that type of issues or addiction issues and stuff like that. Usually I'm just kind of like what you said. Usually I just kind of look in the mirror and like, take my shirt off during my workout or whatever. I felt good.
Right.
Whatever, Yeah. But I mean, I'm also, I guess, pretty self-aware too that, like I have pretty much my diet stuff dialed in. And, like this past week, like I was telling you before we started that, I had a little bit too much sweet tea and I knew that was fine for me and I could do that because it's not going to last Monday through Friday,
Right.
So,
right.
And plus because my health and like all the pros and cons for all that stuff is, more important to me than actually just going out to have beers every night. Even though I like, I have like a don't be weird rule, which I stole from, I think his name's John Wilborn. He does Power Athlete. I don't know if you know who he is, but cool dude. Anyway, he's just like, hey, if someone offers you a beer, drink a beer if you want it, man. Like, don't be like, nah, like I might today.
I totally agree with that. And the thing is, I used to be the opposite way. Like I used to be track my food, don't eat carbs, paleo all the way. Like when paleo was all the rage, work out twice a day, CrossFit in the morning, go to work, CrossFit in the evening. Like I was obsessed. Like I was like one of those people who like that gave CrossFit a bad reputation. like those when they're like CrossFit people are too intense, and I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, looking back, I was definitely intense, and so but I think I feel like I had to go through that to now understand the world of balance and happiness and true happiness, and also teaching that to and creating a program around that. Like true happiness is like working out and enjoying pizza and being okay with it and not feeling guilty about it and not worrying about how you have to run it off later. And that's kind of true freedom, I think, when you're at that point.
So is that kind of your point now, that you just choose quality over quantity, or do you stick to a strict diet all the time now? Or
no, I'm definitely like, I don't eat dirty, like I'm not like eating McDonald's every day, but I will enjoy McDonald's every once in a while, I feel like as long as I think I really like the 80-20 rule, where it's like 80% of the time you're doing well and you're working out regularly and eating really well. I just like have a balanced diet, and I just try to eat carbs, protein, fats all in one meal, plenty of veggies. I hate vegetables too, but I know like I have to eat it. And so, I try to just kind of scarf those down, and knowing that I can really enjoy the 20% of my life where, if someone does offer me a drink, I'm going to say yes and not feel guilty about it, and splurge on the weekends and enjoy life. Like I'm a huge foodie. Like I love enjoying food, and if you can do that guilt-free, then I think that's kind of the way to go.
Yeah, that's one thing I've told people, that I'm not a foodie. Like I'm really not. I mean, because I'll usually say, thanks for dinner. Like usually I just don't really care. It's just like, here's some chicken, I'll be fine.
It's so much easier if you're not a foodie.
Like people were like, oh, you have to eat at this restaurant, it's so good.
Yeah.
Like I go and it's like, what's great. I mean, it wasn't bad, but I'm not just. But maybe I just haven't also had that type of meal where it was just like a orgasm in my mouth or whatever you want to say.
Yeah. What's your favorite meal?
Lately, I feel like I'm a meat guy. So I've been eating a lot of ribeyes and.
You're not a foodie? You're just eating ribeye every day?
Well, I mean, not every day, but it's between that and chicken, and then I usually just have the same breakfast. I usually have like some eggs and spinach, and then sometimes a bowl of
Uh-huh.
oatmeal if I'm feeling it. And
Yeah. So
um,
you're just pretty much protein and a little bit of carb.
yeah, like
Yeah.
so I know when was this? 3 years ago, 4 years ago? I followed Renaissance periodization, third diet,
Hmm.
and so that was the
Hmm.
leanest I ever got. And
Yeah.
so I usually float around 165, 170, and I got down to 155 with them, which uh, it
Do
was
you
just
think that was too much? Like
um
too strict? Too
no,
much
just
weight
because,
loss?
well, as far as eating, just because it was literally like 2 eggs and a handful of spinach, roughly.
Hmm.
Maybe go get a
Hmm.
handful of nuts. It said if you're so hungry.
Yeah.
So that was hard to adjust to.
Yeah.
Just because my body wasn't used to it at first. But after a couple of weeks, that's what it says. Like, all right, once you hit this limit or this stage, then you advance to the next stage and cut even more out. But
Right.
I also base it like the way I'm eating also on my performance, like in CrossFit. So I even did a
Yeah.
competition there, and I'm PR'd my snatch in a competition. So I was like, well, maybe,
Nice.
and that's when I guess nutrition started coming more
Yeah.
serious for me. And that
Hmm.
it's like kind of what you just said, the 80-20 rule. But then I was super strict, like 100%. Like I was not drinking. I was strict
Yeah.
to their templates, and it really helped. But now it's kind of like like last night I had 2 slices of pizza watching UNC. So
Yes.
yeah, so that's kind of what's gotten to that. I know
Yeah.
how my body's going to perform the next day, and I was a little tired though today just because of that too much sweet tea.
On the
But
sweet tea. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, like I said, like I feel like I've gotten so in touch, I guess, that I know like, hey, is this going to benefit me tomorrow? How am I feeling? Is it going to decrease
Yeah.
performance? And yeah, I got it down for the most part, but I've also been doing it for 9 years or so. Well,
Right. Right.
serious
And
diet,
it's,
or at
it's
least serious diet 4 years, maybe 3 years.
and when you were younger, were you eating like were you not super picky eater? Like were you pretty easy when it comes to that?
So like in college and stuff, it was just, yeah, I was just kind of like, yeah, just give me some chicken again, some vegetables, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't really care. It was like in college, just like you said, if they're like, hey, we're going to McDonald's tonight. You want to go? And I'm like, well, yeah, I want to
Mhm.
go. Give me a number one for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Big Mac.
but again, that was like kind of the thing that I thought food was still food. I didn't really know the difference between processed and ultra processed and
Right. Yeah. Same.
all that stuff.
Hmm.
Like right now, I'm reading the Robert Wolf's book, Sacred Cow, and
Hmm. Yeah. Have you heard the Joe Rogan
yeah, so that's what
podcast? Yeah.
I
Yeah.
listened to that, and then my one of my buddies bought the book, and so I was like, well, now I got to get it. So he read it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm not far into it yet. I'm also reading Will Smith's book, ironically enough. We'll talk about that. um, but
Is it good?
yeah, it's
Have you
actually,
started it? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm almost finished with it. It's really
Yeah.
like it's just based on his life and stuff, but
Yeah.
he talks about it like because growing up. Here's a side tangent, I guess, but growing up, he was a lot of movies. I guess during like like when did Independence Day come out? Like 99 maybe?
Yeah. Like
I need a
yeah.
fact checker on here. So
Yeah.
99.
I know you need a Jamie.
Yeah, exactly. Then I need, so then like that came out, then Men in Black. Then I remember Wild Wild West,
Yeah.
and like so I was like, oh, Will Smith is big time. He's so
I
cool.
know. I
That's
love
why.
I love Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like I'm still his fan. I'm still his fan. Just like, dang.
All right. So do you think it was staged, or do you think it was
So
real?
at first I thought it was staged because like I was like, well, he has a book coming out. This is totally staged.
Yeah.
And then I watched the uncensored Japanese version,
Oh
like
yeah, yeah. Where
yeah, and I was like, oh, this is not staged because like I think it wasn't staged because of Chris Rock's reaction. Because it was too like what the fudge just happened, like, and he was almost ready to hit him back.
that's
He
what
was like,
What do you
yeah,
do? Like I was talking to somebody at the gym tonight. It's like, what would you do? You're hosting or whatever he was at the Oscars, and you just got slapped. I mean, do you
in front of
retaliate? Do you take
everybody.
it? I mean, do you just play
Yeah.
it off? I mean,
And I think he handled it beautifully. Like he made a joke about it, and the joke was good. And I was like, oh my god. And then, but at first I thought it was fake. I was like, that was totally staged.
mhm.
But then I rewatched. I was like, oh man, that's totally real.
But I didn't even realize him and Jada were still together. I guess like
Yeah, they're like it's a weird situation with them. And at first, I don't know if you saw, but at first, like Will Smith laughed at the joke.
yeah, that's what I saw in the memes today.
And then he looked over at Jada and she wasn't laughing, and that's when he got up.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, even though she wasn't laughing, he still got up and made a point to go slap somebody at the
I
Oscars. So,
know,
which
I
I mean,
know.
I wonder if he thought that was him showing his manhood and stuff. Like, I think I would just be like, whatever. I'll talk to him after the thing. I don't know what I would.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, you never know what you're going to do in that moment when you're trying to defend the honor of your woman.
Yeah. I mean,
But I don't think there's any circumstance where in a professional setting, like you shouldn't be hitting people, like you shouldn't just like slap somebody. You shouldn't, regardless of, and the joke wasn't even that bad. Like it wasn't like, I don't know, like it wasn't
yeah,
even, it wasn't even a good joke.
yeah, like, oh, cool. Like I didn't know she had alopecia. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that either. So, but I'm also not keeping up with pop culture all the time. So,
Right. I didn't know either, but I don't know. Like it just seemed like but like it wasn't a funny joke. Like maybe Chris Rock shouldn't make fun of people, but he makes fun of people. Like, don't you know that you're gonna be like, when you bring Chris Rock onto these situations, he's gonna make fun of people.
that's part of stand-up comedy. They're going to make fun,
Yeah,
fun of somebody,
they're
probably.
gonna make fun of you.
You know who Burt Kreischer is?
Mm.
He's one of Joe Rogan's boys. He was in our area 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I went and saw him in person. I guess is what I'm trying to say. But he was cracking jokes on people in the front row and
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, you got to expect it. You're going to a stand-up comedy show.
I know. Oh, my AirPods. Hold on.
Oh no, AirPods.
My ears are too small.
You got the pros.
Okay. Yeah, they're giant.
But sometimes I got the pros too, and I have to like keep changing mine out because sometimes mine fall out too. But
Yeah. I need to get that fancy headset that you have.
Oh yeah. Well, that's one thing I was like, all right, so I want good audio and that I want to have good headphones, and that way I can monitor it the whole time. Like it took me a while to get used to hearing myself.
Oh yeah, that would be so weird. I don't like to hear it. Like I don't like to listen to myself talk.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm used to it now, but yeah, at first I was like, if podcasts are mainly audio. I only did the video version of it just because I feel like you have to now. I don't know. I guess all the big dogs are doing it, but
do people watch the video?
Yeah, they do, but not as much as actual audio, and which I get because when he had his on, I act like he's my best friend. When Joe Rogan,
me and my buddy Joe.
when he was on,
Joe too. He's my best friend
too. when he was on YouTube, like I was at my desk like literally 8 hours a day, so I would just pull up the YouTube version and just keep it on one of my screens while I was doing other stuff. But most people
now he's on Spotify.
Yeah. So he does a video version on that too, but I do the audio stuff now, which that's where most of my hits come from. And I get it, going down the road walk. I like doing other stuff. Like when I say I read too, like I do audiobooks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, some people are like, that's not I mean, it kind of is. I mean, I could just be jamming, getting something out of it. Like I can go walk the dogs while I read this book, so to speak, or listen.
You have dogs?
Yeah.
More than one?
I'm a single dad of 2 wiener dogs.
Wiener dogs?
Sausage dog, maybe whatever.
Yeah. I have a cattle dog. She's a puppy, and she's like really mean. Like
like an Aussie? You mean a cattle dog?
Yeah. Super energetic. So I had an Aussie before we got her, and she passed. But she was like the nicest dog. Like she was so sweet, didn't bark at anyone, didn't care for other dogs, like just wanted to hang out with us. And then she passed, and I was like, well, never again. Like we can never get another dog because that dog was just perfection. And then we're like, we gave in, got another cow dog, this time a red one, not a blue one. And apparently the last dog we got was like an anomaly as far as cattle dogs go. Like this one is like every bad rap you hear about cattle dogs is what she has. She nips at people. She's barky. She jumps. She's crazy energetic. Like she cannot stay still. She's crazy, but I love her.
Part of the family. But I mean, those cattle dogs. So I used to have a border collie for years, and
so smart.
Yeah, that's teaching that dog anything was so easy. Teaching these little guys takes 14 days, but with him it took 10 minutes. Like, are you smarter than me?
Yeah, the border collie is the smartest dog.
Exactly.
Top one.
But yeah, they just have like I guess my point was they have so much pent up energy that you have to get them out. Like I was just playing ball with it constantly, just trying to get them out and stuff. And I think that's part. I don't know if that's for all dogs, but I just feel like you got to get that burn that energy out. Maybe that's why he's that barky and he was always friendly, but I don't know about yours, but I was,
Yeah, no, we exercise her a ton.
uh,
And she's still very, very mean.
well, that's the thing too that, with work and stuff, I had to keep mine basically just in the house by himself for 8 hours a day. And I was just like, man, this ain't no life for you, bro. You want to be out there
Yeah.
with cows and sheep and stuff, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We
So
even have the do not pet like collar for her, so like people don't get near her.
is it
She
all
likes her personal space.
is it all strangers she does it to? Or
No, she's getting better. Like we're training her, and she's again really smart. So like you said, like you teach her anything
yeah.
in like 10 minutes. But sometimes she's too smart. So like she knows what we're trying to get her to do, and she's like, I'm good. But she just likes personal space. So even if she like kind of knows you, she doesn't want you in her space.
Mm.
But she loves us. Like she's really loyal to her people. But
Yeah, that's where those dogs are. They know who their people are.
yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So she's a handful, but I love her.
Man, it's tough. Like I had dogs growing up my whole life. Like this, I was always a dog person. But yeah, when you lose, especially when you're a little kid,
Yeah, I know. It's heartbreaking.
it's
I think it's worse as an adult.
yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I like could not recover. I was like so sad. Like it's probably like the worst sadness. Like because like I think because like with the dog, it's just so help like they can't communicate what they're feeling, and then I don't know. I mean, for me it was like so sudden too. Like that was hard.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah. Yeah. Told you we talk about
I
everything.
was gonna say I don't want to. I get kind of sad.
I told you tangents.
That's
We
good.
went through all the emotions.
So all right, let's switch gears here then, so we don't get too sad. I wanted to ask you about you said you been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, yeah.
How long?
I've been doing it for 5 years now, 6 years
Okay.
now. And again, it's one of those things where I started as an adult and a white belt and didn't know anything.
Mhm.
And again, it's like one of those situations where you just kind of have to go into knowing that you're going to suck at it.
Yeah.
And sucked for a very long time. I still suck, but like, like good enough to have a purple belt, I
But
guess.
you're purple.
Yeah, but I feel like I was belted too early, but that's neither here nor there. I'm still accepting the fact that I have it. But yeah, it's I think that everybody should learn jujitsu. Unless you're like a bad person, unless you're a bad guy, because then I don't want if I'm going to defend myself against you, then please don't learn it. But yeah, I think it's really empowering, and more empowering than what I've ever done in CrossFit. Things I've done in CrossFit has helped me in jiu-jitsu, like strength wise, but again, starting from scratch and not knowing anything and not knowing like these body positions that you're not really used to, like in CrossFit, when you're squat, you're like, everything is knees out. And then there's some positions in jiu-jitsu where you have to bring your knees in, and so it's like, that's really weird, but just being able to adapt. And yeah, I honestly highly recommend it for everyone, especially women, and don't be afraid about it. Cause if you find the right school, if you find the right teacher, then you'll have a really positive experience.
Yeah, the reason I asked was because I've been dealing with a little burnout on CrossFit myself, and
Yeah.
I'm one of these people. I have to do something active. I always just feel better,
Yeah.
when I'm moving or just getting a sweat or whatever you want to say. But
Yeah.
even after a tough day at work, if tough days work sucked, I go down to the gym, I start moving and throwing around weight.
Yeah.
Good. So
how long have you been doing CrossFit?
Since 13. So what is that? 8, 9 years? So.
Yeah. So we're about the same. Like I think I'm like 10, 11 years, but kind of the same time. But
yes,
it honestly almost also reignited my love for CrossFit, because I primarily do jiu-jitsu as my workout now, but I do go back to CrossFit like 2-3 times a week, just because I feel like it definitely, I want to keep up with the strength part, of my body. And I still want to be strong, where if you only do solely jiu-jitsu, then you're not going to be strong in certain ways, but you'll gain strength in other ways, but you do lose the gains, as they say, if you're only doing body weight stuff.
I mean, I get that, but I think that's something that I really wouldn't. I don't know if I say that now, have an issue with. who cares if you can't go pick up 225 anymore or whatever you want.
Right. No, that's where I'm at. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. I don't
Yeah.
have to
I mean, I
like
think
that.
that's where I'm starting to get to is that, it's
Mhm.
just like,
Oh my God, you should try jujitsu.
well, that's what I was asking about because
Yeah.
that's one thing that if I found another activity that I think I would want to do,
Yeah.
but as I was saying earlier, it's really rural where I'm at. So finding a good gym
Right.
in this area would be pretty tough. And I think there are a couple,
Yeah.
but I don't
Mhm.
know if they have the best reps or not. So if anybody knows, hit me up on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, but like also like you were saying, like going into your first class, and I wouldn't know anything. I have no background in it besides whatever I've seen on the internet and random
Right.
videos. And so
I was very uncomfortable.
you don't know that. Yeah.
It's so uncomfortable because well, I like went I've been to two gyms now. And so again, shop around. So the first gym I went because they were like they had a lot of women in class and they had a specific women's class. And I thought like that would make me feel more comfortable because in specific jujitsu positions, like you have people in between your legs. And so like in my mind, I was like, well, I'll do this all women's class. Maybe it's a little less uncomfortable, And so, but I didn't really, the gym was fine. Like it was great. It was a great community, but for some reason I didn't feel like I fit in, but like I still follow them on Instagram and stuff and they're doing great things and they have a great kids program, but I don't know, for some reason I just didn't really, connect. And like, it was kind of a far drive from where I was going. So my brother-in-law actually, he at the time was a purple belt and he kept talking to my husband about like jujitsu all the time. And my husband was like, yeah, whatever, next time or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, he never did it. And so I started jujitsu before my husband because one of my friends was attacked and that's why I wanted to do it because she was like, I'm 5'1" and she was like 5'7" and real like pretty tall and well that's not pretty tall, that's probably average height. Like she was like taller than me and so like she was able to get away just knowing no martial arts just like by sheer force and just sheer like will to not be attacked. Like this guy had a gun, like everything, and she just like got away. And so when she told me the story, I was freaked out because I am so small. And so I felt like, man, someone can literally just pick me up and like run off and whatever. And I had zero self-defense skills. And so that really scared me. So then I looked into jujitsu. I went to this school and then I didn't really like the school. And then I talked to my brother-in-law. He's like, go to my school, go to my teacher. And he was right. Like, and then my husband started. So like, it was kind of this family thing too now. And my teacher is amazing. Shout out to Flavio Meyer Jiu-Jitsu. He's just so chill. He's like Brazilian and he's like, he lives in Santa Cruz, which is like a beach town in California. And he's like jujitsu's and surfs. That's all he does.
Awesome.
Yeah. And he's so knowledgeable and he's like a world champion. But you can like, if there aren't medals on the wall, you could like, it's not something he brags about, he just, he's just very humble, very easygoing. And I think that's the vibe I needed and wanted. And so there were no girls really in this specific school. Now it's just me and another girl, but like having my husband there helped, having my brother-in-law there helped, and now my nephew. And so it really doesn't matter if it's an all girl situation. I guess that's my point, is that if you find the right people to train with and the right teacher, then it's going to be a good situation.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, that's
yeah. And just be ready to like, just feel like you suck at everything.
well, that's what I feel like, especially like you were just saying that being in weird positions and stuff. Like I've never rolled. Don't they call it rolling when you roll?
Yeah. See, you already know the lingo. You're good.
Listen to my man Joe talk about it.
Yeah. Your buddy Joe.
So, but yeah, that's the only thing. Like I've never done anything like that. It's like, being in those weird positions and, I don't know, I'd be freaked out or kind of weird. But I mean, I feel like if I've done it when I was younger, it might be different. But like now being, like
older.
Told you,
the
like,
thing is I started before COVID too. So like now that's COVID, it's like, well, I don't even know where you've been and you're breathing on me. But once you get rolling, like it really, you don't even think about the closeness of it, because you're so focused on what you want to do, what move you want to do, what the move of the day, or if you're rolling or whatever, you're so focused on that you're not even really like, you don't really care that someone's like in your face.
When you go home after, I guess, practice or a session or whatever,
Mhm.
are you looking up stuff like on YouTube? Like, oh, maybe I can figure out.
Oh, all the time, all the time. Like my algorithm is all like, it's like Kelly Clarkson videos and like jujitsu videos. But like like day in the pandemic, I think my husband and I, we like literally watched like all of you. We joke that we finished UFC because we would go back to the old fights and like watch all of those videos. We're like, oh man, we literally finished UFC.
Well,
But yeah, we're always watching videos. I think my husband more so than me. Like he'll find really good ones and then he'll send them to me. But yeah, I definitely like, and I follow people on Instagram, so I'll see these things and I'll try to like do that move. And I think that's the cool thing about, because I don't even remember for like when I started CrossFit, and that was all new to me. But essentially, it's still exercise. Like you still have a familiarity of like push-ups and squats. Those concepts, so it's not brand new. But like with jujitsu, it was like totally new. Didn't know any of the concepts. Didn't know what I was supposed to do. Why am I supposed to do it? And so starting from scratch, it really opens your eyes, and like you really have to not be resistant to learning, because and especially at an older age, it's like really hard to like not be like, I don't want to do that way, or like question it. So you kind of have to just be open to being a student. I guess that whole quote of never not be a student
yeah, always like
really lives on. Yeah. Always be learning.
I've always heard, I've always called, like complex problem solving, just because, when you make a move, the other person's going to make a move.
Yes.
What are they going
And
to
then
do?
there's a move for that, and there's a move for that, and there's a
Yeah.
defense for that. And
Is it like
that's
at
fun.
the same time? Like, because you're sitting there thinking and also trying to be physical at the same time. But you're like, oh, if I don't fuck up here, then he's going to get me in this or she. Or
Right. You'll get to a point where you stop thinking and you just react to the other person.
So it's just
Yeah.
train, and then you just let your instincts take over.
And you're just Miyagi'd into these movements.
Like,
Yeah. You're like, whoa, I can't believe I just did that. What did
Cobra Kai fan?
Oh my God, I love Cobra Kai.
Oh my God.
This last season was so good.
It got a little cheesy towards the end for me, which
It's
is
been
cheesy, but it went way cheesy when they did like a little concert before the match or whatever.
Oh, I know. Okay, actually, you're right. That was the one thing
I was like, come on.
I didn't like. I was like, why is Carrie Underwood here? I love Carrie Underwood, but she doesn't need to be on the mat with her heels. There's no shoes allowed on the mat, and like she's just like with her heels on the mat. I'm like, oh my God. You're disrespecting karate.
Yeah. It's like, how did y'all get Carrie Underwood to sign up to go sing at a karate match or whatever? I'm glad they did. I mean, I still watch it. I still crush it. I mean, can't wait.
I like the second season better than the third season, but the first season definitely. I just feel like I get that Johnny and Daniel are supposed to be like butting heads, but like can they just come together for once?
Like, tried it, right? Then it's just, or the spoiler alert for everybody who's not
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like they bring them together, then they got to cause more drama or whatever.
I know. It's like, okay, we get it. You're very different, but can you just for this one cause, just come together?
Have you watched Euphoria? You know what I'm talking about?
No, I've heard that that's very depressing, and I just have to be in a good mindset for that.
Yeah, it's weird, it's odd, but it's kind of what we were just saying. Like, it's like, they're high school students and stuff.
Yeah.
Listen, was this really that much drama when I was in high school? Like, I remember it being like overly dramatic. It's like, how can we cause more and more problems? And which maybe everyone's so cool, but
where does that take place?
What do you mean?
Like what city? Or
I guess it's in California. I don't know if it really said.
Oh, okay.
But the way, based on the settings and stuff, I would assume LA or somewhere out there.
LA, yeah.
That's what it had.
All the drama.
Yeah. So I ain't big up on the drug game, but I was like, I think it's more pills than anything. When Zendaya, is that her name?
Zendaya, yeah.
She's crushing.
Yeah. Yeah, she's like on top of the world. I love her. She's great.
Really well in it. Like, I'm impressed, but it's just like, man, come on, y'all. Come on. Is it really?
Yeah.
Calm down with the problem.
That's what I hear. I hear that it's like really depressing, and then also like, is it really realistic? Because is it really that? And then for parents with kids that age, are just like, I've heard like they're now scared. Like, is that what's going on these days?
That was one of my questions, was that I guess just because, when I was in high school, like I said earlier, that, even in late college, we were finally getting Facebook and stuff. But so in high school, we didn't have access to, you pulled up something on Google, it could be porn at any minute. And you just,
right.
These kids like doing that. And plus they know all this stuff. And I was like,
yeah.
high school is now.
It's a whole different generation, man.
So yeah, I sound like an old grandpa.
No. I know.
How long?
Way back when I just had Facebook.
Exactly. I had to walk in snow uphill both ways. No shoes. All right, Janet, let's take this MF home, as they say. I don't want to keep.
Are we done? We could have talked forever.
Yeah, but I don't want to be respectful of your time. So I thought we'd take it home and.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we had talked about a whole lot of nothing, huh?
We got some main points across, and we can do a part 2 down the road.
This is what's going to happen. The next time, part 2, this is what's going to happen. You probably have quit your job and you're going to be doing something else that you're passionate about. And you're probably going to be doing jiu-jitsu. Well, that's my prediction.
Okay. Well, just to clarify though, I don't have a bad job. I really like my job.
No, absolutely.
So I just want to make that say, so it's not like I got to quit. Like I hate it so much. Like I really like it.
No. And that's why you've stuck around for so long. Yeah. You'll probably do something a little bit. So maybe not quit your job. Maybe you'll start another project that will lead you towards the path of your passion.
I do want to do BJJ though, really bad.
Yeah. And then jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Do it.
We'll see what happens. All right. So before we get off here, people want to find your stuff and all that good stuff. Where do they do that?
Yeah. So you can go on to gymparty.com and check out the program. Follow us at Instagram at Gymparty _ or follow me at Janet Navarrette, 2 R's, 2 T's. And yeah.
Cool. Jet, you're a badass person. I love this. This was fun.
Thank you, Chris. That was so much fun. Hey, if you ever need a part 2, let me know.
You're going to do it. Out of here. Hope you got some stuff out of this. Good news and good night and stuff.
Yeah. All those things. Yeah.